I'm Damien Barrett. Welcome to Access All Areas on Australia's #1 site for sport and footy news. Matthew Lloyd, the Kangas sit clearly at the top of the ladder. Have they gone under the radar?
They have probably, Damo, but I think aside from Hawthorn, they probably are the most even side in the competition. I was there yesterday to watch them beat Fremantle. They kicked the first 4 goals, and what I love about them is I don't see a weakness, and I think they're more confident than they've ever been over Brad Scott's time, that they can go on and be challengers come September.
This man there, Jared Waite, that was his 58th goal, or 58 goals now he's got in his Northampton career from 27 matches, 16 goals this year. He's become the player that Brad Scott wanted him to be.
And the man who just kicked that goal there, Jack Ziebell, he has become pretty much that leader that they're looking for. He'll be captain next year, you would have thought. Burma Harvey keeps on keeping on, but some of the efforts yesterday, that forward line, Petrie, Brown, Waite and Wood, Higgins is having a great season again. Even Gibson and Ziebell, 26 disposals each, 6 goals between them. Daniel Wells back makes a big difference. That Adelaide win in round 1, I think, was underestimated, so they're in great form.
You mentioned they don't have an obvious weakness. Is the backline possibly that?
That's a good point. But if their midfield keeps going the way they are, and I think the one player they can't lose is Todd Goldstein. He is going that well that their backline hasn't been under too much pressure just yet.
That's the big positive story out of the weekend. There's a lot of negatives for a lot of footy clubs at the moment, aren't there, Lordo? In no particular order, the Dockers, the Tigers and the Pies, who of those three is worst placed after 4 rounds?
I'd say Collingwood, but I just think that at least Richmond have been to the last 3 final series and they just haven't been good enough. The Dockers, I think they've just exhausted all they can with their senior players, but I just think with Collingwood, they haven't done anything. They've gone backwards in Nathan Buckley's time. It looks like it's getting worse. I wouldn't say any player at Collingwood has enhanced their reputation over the first 4 rounds of this season. What about you? What do you think?
Yeah, I'm the same. It's round 4 only, and I think we're both loath to make massive sweeping statements after such a small amount of matches to work with. But right now, can you see any of those 3 teams playing finals?
No, I don't think so. And I think Fremantle will be the team that finishes the highest out of the 3 of them. I think their last 2 weeks has been some positive signs, but the other 2 teams, I think Collingwood have got Essendon on Anzac Day, Richmond play Melbourne. They must win games, otherwise it's definitely over for their seasons.
Yeah, long weeks for all those 3 clubs, and particularly Collingwood and Richmond, with the coaches under the spotlight. Port Adelaide is another team you can need to put into that bracket too of underperforming teams. Ken Hinkley spoke positively about what would happen in this game against GWS, Lordo, but it just went terribly for them from the early parts of it.
Yeah, it did. It did. You could see the signs early on that they were off, and some of this vision, you just has to be seen to be believed. Just a lack of effort. They had a lot of time to push back there. Port Adelaide, they didn't want to do it. There's a lot of finger pointing there. Broadbent, what's the effort there need? He's saying it's going out of bounds. Just go and win the ball. So Ebert and Need didn't want to keep it in. And then some of this pressure, like just down coast to coast. They're one of the most dangerous sides in the game, the Giants at the moment with their ball movement. But this is just unforgivable. 75 inside 50s they conceded, which is just... That's the team's lacking spirit and heart, which Port Adelaide are at the moment.
So spirit and heart's the key here?
I think so. I don't think you can say it's a talent. They added Wingard back in yesterday. They've got enough talent on that list to be better than that.
So many issues here, but this is their new forward order. Now, he needs to have better awareness, Charlie Dixon, to get out of that space. You could argue he might be arguably unlucky there, but he still needs to have a greater awareness. He didn't have a good game, and he's not having, at this stage, the impact that they'd want.
No, I can see his frustration. It's not forgivable what he's doing here, punches like this. Not good enough, Damo, but I would hate to have played on that forward line yesterday because they were that bad, the midfield, and they've got to lift. Even Ollie Wines and players like that, Travis Boak, aren't the players they were. And you were interested in a tweet from David Koch after the game as well, Damo.
Yeah, it was in response to a question posed to him on Twitter, but the response is pretty alarming when you are the boss of a footy club. I agree with your comments about the club. A disgrace. Rest assured, questions are being asked and answers demanded, and that it undermines a historic week. That's obviously in a reference to the China initiative that they announced last week. But for a chairman to use the word disgrace about what his club has dished up, that's going to be a long week for Ken Hinkley and Port.
I think so, and I think David Koch is a type of president to not mess around. He doesn't take mediocrity too well, I believe, and I think if they don't improve this year, Ken Hinkley will be in trouble, I think. I think after the season they had last year, it's just not good enough.
We haven't been required to go upstairs to sort out the umpires this year, Lotto. They've been very good, but there's a few issues emerging from the weekend. This appeared to be a rule of the week, didn't it? This 15-metre kick, which was ruled play on. Now, you could argue that both calls were right, but at the same time, they seem to be ruling differently to the previous parts of that game.
I agree. So, as I said, that one's probably fair enough. It probably wasn't 15 metres, but all the players asked for is consistency.
Yep.
So we probably didn't see that in the the first 2 or 3 rounds. Luke Ball yesterday said, no, it wasn't a rule of the week, who's in charge of the umpires at the moment. But
do you think it was?
I think so, because it just wasn't penalised this harshly in the previous weeks. And the other contentious big moment of the weekend was Stephen May, Damo. It was a really hard hit. And what did you make of it?
To me, they just have to make a statement on this act. It's horrific. It's the exact act. It's Exhibit A of what the AFL is trying to remove from the game in all aspects. And Lordy, again, they'll stick to the book. They may well send it to the tribunal. They'll probably try and keep it to as low as 4 or 5. But to me, I'm thinking that's 6 or 7. Just as much to make a statement as anything.
Yeah, I agree. I think 4 or 5. I think 6 or 7 is a bit too much. But it's a brain fade. You just know in the game now, don't even try and execute a bump like that, because he's trying to hit him down the middle. He wouldn't have tried to hit him in the head, but it's too risky. And he'll get his time, and he's got some form as well.
Try to patch things up. I want to say try to patch things up. He apologised, which is good, but it doesn't mitigate what they should hit him with by way of sanction. Didn't want the Crows and Swans game to finish on Saturday night, Lauder. It was just an epic, and I know we overuse that word at times, but this game does qualify for such status.
Yeah, and their captain, Tex Walker, really set the scene late in the game there, Texan, but we see him here. It looked like he'd put his back out or had back spasms or something. His efforts weren't great. He gets on the phone to the coach and he turned it round, as a captain should. Look, 3 points in the game at that stage, and he comes back on the ground and really inspired his team. But what I love about them, you see Tex here, smart kick. Could have been paid deliberate. It doesn't even matter. Even if it is paid deliberate, at least it's in your forward 50 and you can start to defend there. But I just think without Paddy Dangerfield, they've been able to get Sloane, Thompson, the Crouch brothers have really lifted in their absence. And then in the forward line, they're unstoppable. And we underestimate how good Daniel Taylor is in the back line as well. Brodie Smith off half back. So, like North, they don't lack for too much at the moment, the Crows.
Yeah. Kieran Jack, a long-time star of the Swans. Tackling, is it something he needs to look at, Lordo? Just because he's hurting himself as much as he's hurt opposition over the years right now.
I think he's got to slow up there. He's just coming in at
he's hit a brick wall.
Yeah, he's hit a brick wall. So you've got to pick your mark and, again, just charges in. You've got to have... It's a technical thing, but you've got to slow down and corral them and just... he's probably got to be careful. Rugby background, he's probably leading with his head too much.
Was groggy on both those occasions and has been throughout his life. Isaac Kearney, Lotto, before he was brought to the Swans list, we were told he was going to be a guaranteed start. He is, isn't he? It's his second season. He plays with the assurity and assuredness of someone who's been around for 15 years. Yeah,
18 disposals, 4 goals. He just keeps them in it, and he's reinvigorated along with Callum Mills, the Sydney Swans. A lot of people, including myself, thought I had them finishing 5th at the end of the year, but didn't think they could challenge for a premiership. Their backline is still the weakness in their team, but Heaney the other night was phenomenal. Just the way here, he just does not lose his feet. He's got composure, he loves the contest, not intimidated by anyone, and crunch goals at the end of the game like this didn't help his team win, Damo.
Can't underestimate the ability to kick that goal at that stage.
And doing it as a forward, which is so important. St Kilda, they're probably a buzz team at the moment. 1 win and 3 losses, so they'd be disappointed with that. But the way they took on Hawthorn, I think the Achilles heel from Hawthorn is their speed, and they do lack some speed, and nearly got them in that department on Saturday.
OK, so what we saw there, you're saying that's the blueprint to get Hawthorn?
I think so. I think so, and I've been saying it for a while, and they keep winning premierships, so not too many teams have done it. But I think without Bradley Hill, there's a lot of pressure on Isaac Smith. So I think that's a way to try and get them. Still, their weakness is their tall defenders. I think that's the area where they struggle. Obviously, Sam Fisher, too much is asked of him. They're a small team, so they've got to be quick, take the game on, and they did it well the last couple of weeks.
This is zippy ball movement, isn't it?
It is.
Look, this mark by McCartan, Lordo, amazing to take the mark. He just missed the kick, but ultimately he did miss it. But that's a young man who wanted the moment.
That's right. The last 2 weeks have been great signs. They just need Goddard to come through, who's in the VFL at the moment. But the other talking point out of that game, Sam Mitchell, 44 disposals. He's getting better. And you look at these numbers over the last 5 years, he's been a phenomenal player. Some are saying now in the best 5 players Hawthorn's ever had, and now 27, 28, up to 36.5 this year.
Well, he hasn't got a Brownlow to his name officially, Lotto, but there's a chance he might get the 2012 one at some stage of this year, and you're saying he's a chance for the 2016 one as well?
And you'd love to see him win it, because I think he's been second in 2 Norm Smith voting counts, and he's just been the most consistent player, I think, in the game the last 5 years.
Well done to the Lions for beating the Suns in their clash, their first one of the year, really encouraging. Louis Taylor, we know he's an emotive young man. He's a good young player, and got caught up in the moment here, Lotto.
He did. He's having a crack at someone, and thinks that Alex Sexton from the Suns is a teammate, and he hugged him. And he soon realised, no, he's not my teammate. Get away, get away. So no, he's a great impact player for the Lions.
Now, I want to ask you, have you ever been hit in the head by the football the way this man was, Tom Boyd, on the weekend?
I have had some slip through the fingers, but none like this. He would have had done well in an EPL game there, Davo, playing for Liverpool or something like that. Tom Boyd, not in the best form, obviously had shoulder issues, and just took his eyes off the ball there.
Hey, Lordy, thank you for that.
Thanks, Damo.
And thank you for joining us on Access All Areas. With the Anzac Day long weekend, we'll see you on Tuesday next week. Goodbye.